Hey everyone, welcome to another Wuchang Fallen Feathers video. In this one I wanted to go over how to get some of the best early game items for your character, including 2 armor sets which I used a lot in my playthrough, a new weapon of each type, pendants and benedictions for your weapons as well. Most of the stuff is found in the game's first region, and I'll go over these in order that you come across them as you explore. Let's take a look. The Divine Blessing, you don't actually get this until the game's 3rd region, however you have to start doing this in the 1st region in the Buddha Cliffs by speaking to the red woman here. Once you reach the avian dwelling at Mount Zenwu, she'll give you a healing spell, which is the only healing spell in game, and of course that's something that every player can use their playthrough. Darkfrost Edge, one of the best weapons in game due to its defensive ability Evasive Maneuver, and if you plan to use magic, this is probably your best choice of weapon. If you spam Defensive Maneuver, enemies are literally unable to hit you, and can be a lifesaver during tough boss fights. It doesn't deal huge damage, but as a magic user you'll probably be focusing more on using your magic anyway. This is found super early in Light Zen Temple, just at a table near the fast travel shrine. The Ming armor set and Centipede armor set. You don't get the Centipede armor set just yet, but the Ming armor and Centipede armors kind of go together, so I'll mention it now. Most enemies deal slash or stab damage, especially bosses, and the Centipede armor has the best defense against these kind of attacks in game, which is crazy because you get this from like the 4th boss you fight. After defeating the boss, you give one of the items dropped to the vendor, and you can buy the armor from Wuchang in Shu Sanctum. You fight this boss just before you reach Doomwillow Beach, which is fairly early in the game. The Ming armor set is almost as strong as the Centipede in its damage resistance, but the reason you'll want both is they have different elemental resistances. So the Centipede has better corruption prevention, and this is something that you deal with a lot in game. The Ming has better magic defense overall, and better resistance to frostbite and burn. A combination of the two is what I use for most of the game, and the Ming armor is found by defeating the red glowing-eyed guy at the stairs in front of the Shu Sanctum. So again, one of the best armors in game you get in just the first couple of hours of playing. We have one more armor for your playthrough, which I'll go over later in the video. Steampowered Spear, a powerful spear which deals good damage and is very quick, allowing you to deal fast damage. It also has an extended whip, meaning you deal damage from further away than regular spears. This one you actually buy from the panda who sells stuff in a cave, although you'll need some bamboo first. Infernal Flames, one of the most useful spells as it's easy to cast with only 2 Skyborn Might, and you gain Skyborn pretty easily as a magic user with Darkfrost Edge as well. Most regular enemies are also susceptible to fire. I use this a lot during my playthrough and let the burn damage do a lot of the work, especially if you equip pendants and benedictions to increase your fire damage. This is found in Shu Sanctum in the village outside of it. You must defeat the red glowing-eyed enemy and he will drop it on defeat. Empyrean Great Axe, a strong axe you can get early in the game that deals big damage. It has a very fun weapon skill called Empyrean Crash, where you leap into the air and deal big damage, and it can come in very handy in combat. This is found not long after the Infernal Flames, again in the village outside Shu Sanctum, and it's on one of the roofs. Lashing Whip is the strongest longsword in terms of pure damage stats that you can get early, and its whip also gives the weapon extended reach, much like the spear we spoke about earlier, meaning you can attack further away with the longsword than other longswords. Pretty fast as well for a longsword, and I really enjoyed using this one. You get this once you reach the Mercury Workshop, the region just after the Shu Sanctum. The Lifesteal Pendant is one of the best items in game, as you're very limited on healing as you explore, and you often go a long time between shrines, so having the ability to recover health so you don't have to use your healing potions all the time is super important. You get this by completing the Soulwood boss and giving the Jade Cylinder, which he drops to the vendor, which you can then buy the pendant from him. Rising Defense, a useful benediction that increases your defense against attacks, useful if you're struggling with tough enemies or dying a lot. This is found in the Lu Mansion, which is a burned house with a cave on Doomwillow Beach. Lasting Alacrity, a benediction that will be useful for most magic users as you get certain spells that take a long time to cast and have the ability Alacrity, meaning you take no damage for a while you're casting your spell for a certain period of time. However, it's pretty useless in most cases without equipping this benediction. You find this in the Tang Emperor's Palace at the Benediction Gate. Palace Maid armor, we already spoke about 2 good defensive armors, but this one you'll need in-game as it has a good defense against the game's toughest elemental effect, Despair. This can kill you in seconds, and some areas of the game have enemies that cause Despair a lot on you. The armor set offers some of the best protection against both corruption and despair, and it's not the best defensive armor, but sometimes you just need to get past the other enemies who cast despair, and trust me, this armor will come in handy. It's not the best in terms of despair defense. There's a few other ones that you will get later in the game that are better, but this one you get super early and it will come in handy. You get this by defeating the Palace Maid in the Tang Emperor's Palace. So that is it for super early gear. All of those items were found in the game's first region, but there's a couple of things you'll definitely want to pick up later on. Bitter Severance, this is not found until you defeat the second region's end boss, and there are dual blades you can get before this, but it's a very useful weapon. Its ability Unbroken Onslaught allows you to attack enemies, causing them to flinch and unable to attack you so long as you have enough stamina to use the attack. The Tiger Pendant is the only pendant in the game that increases your damage for your weapon without a bad side effect. You get an extra 12% damage for every attack, and this is found at the very end of the third region on the Ferry Overlook. However, it could be tied to a quest, as I found it right next to the item for a quest ending. So in Mountain Zenwu, you'll come across the kid with a ceramic jar in his head. Keep talking with him as you play through the region, and after the last time, you'll eventually reach the Ferry Overlook, and you will find his ceramic jar head and the Tiger Pendant at the end of the pier. Lethal Rejuvination, a benediction that also restores health on defeating an enemy, perfect to pair with the Lifesteal Pendant, however it's not found until much later in the game when you return to the Tang Emperor's Palace. I won't go over too much info to avoid spoilers. But there you have it guys, 15 of the best weapons, armors, benedictions and pendants that you definitely want to pick up in your playthrough. Many of them you can get early in the game. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more other guides. I also have guides for going over how to get every item in the game if you do want to collect everything, and I will see you in the next video.